Hello, everybody. How are you today? I'm excited to have you back for another Bible reading. We are going through the stories of the Bible for those of you joining for the first time and not sure what these videos are all about. We go through the different stories of the Bible so that people know what they are. Maybe you've only heard bits and pieces of the stories. Maybe it's been a long time since you've heard them and you don't remember them. Maybe you only know what somebody else has told you about them. Whatever the case is, you have the right to know what they are yourself. Everybody should get to know what the stories of the Bible are so that they can make their own decisions and conclusions about what's in the Bible. So that's what we do. We tell the stories. Today, we are going to tell one of the most famous stories that comes from the Bible. It's about a talking donkey. We don't think about animals talking unless we think about the movie Dr. Dolittle, right? But believe it or not, there was a talking donkey in the Bible. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please hit the like and the subscribe button. That helps us out a lot. We go live on Facebook, and then after we're done with the live video, we upload it to YouTube, to this channel. So please hit the like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, share this video. We're going to be reading out of Numbers chapter 22 and part of chapter 23 today. This is a great story, so sit down, buckle up, get ready. The Israelites traveled on and camped in the plains of Moab near the Jordan across Jericho. Now Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Excuse me. Moab was terrified of the people because they were numerous. The Moab dreaded the Israelites. So the Moab said to the elders of Midian, "This horde will devour everything around us like an ox eats up the green plants in the field." Since Balak, son of Zippor, was Moab's king at the time, he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates, in the land of his people. Balak said to him, "Look, a people has come out of Egypt. They cover the surface of the land and are living right across from me. Please come and put a curse on these people for me, because they are more powerful than I am. I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land, for I know that those you bless are blessed, and those you curse are cursed." The elders of Moab and Midian departed with fees for divination in hand. They came to Balaam and reported Balak's words to him. He said to them, "Spend the night here, and I will give you an answer in the morning. I will answer you and tell you what the Lord tells me." So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam replied to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent this message to me. Look, a people has come out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now come and put a curse on them for me. I may be able to fight against them and drive them away." Then God said to Balaam, "You are not to go with them. You are not to curse this people, for they are blessed." So Balaam got up the next morning and said to Balak's officials, "Go back to your land, because the Lord has refused to let me go with you." The officials of Moab arose, returned to Balak, and reported, "Balaam refused to come with us." Balak sent officials again who were more numerous and higher in rank than the others. They came to Balaam and said to him, "This is what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Let nothing keep you from coming to me, for I will greatly honor you and do whatever you ask me. So please come and put a curse on these people for me." But Balaam responded to the servants of Balak, "If Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go against the command of the Lord my God to do anything small or great. Please stay here overnight as the others did, so that I may find out what the Lord has to tell me." God came to Balaam at night and said to him, "Since these men have come to summon you, get up and go with them, but you must only do what I tell you." When he got up in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and went with the officials of Moab. But God was incensed that Balaam was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand on the path to oppose him. Balaam was riding his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing on the path with a drawn sword in his hand, she turned off the path and went into a field. So Balaam hid her to return to the path. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow passage between the vineyards with a stone wall on either side. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord and pressed herself against the wall, squeezing Balaam's foot against it. So he hit her once again. The angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she crouched down under Balaam. So he became furious and beat the donkey with his stick. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she asked Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam answered the donkey, "You made me look like a fool. If I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you now." But the donkey said, "Am I not the donkey you've ridden all your life until today? Have I ever treated you this way before?" "No," he replied. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the path with a drawn sword in his hand. Balaam knelt low and bowed in worship on his face. The angel of the Lord asked him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Look, I came out to oppose you because I consider what you are doing to be evil." "The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me, I would have killed you by now and let her live." Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the path to confront me. And now, if it is evil in your sight, I will go back." Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you are to say only what I tell you." So Balaam went with Balak's officials. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the Moabite city on the Arnon border at the edge of his territory. Balak asked Balaam, "Did I not send you urgent summons? Why didn't you come to me? Am I really not able to reward you?" Balaam said to him, "Look, I have come to you, but can I say anything I want? I must speak only the message God puts in my mouth." So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed cattle, sheep, and goats and sent for Balaam and the officials who were with him. In the morning Balak took Balaam and brought him to Bamoth Baal. From there he saw the outskirts of the people's camp. We're going to move on and read part of chapter 23. Then Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me." So Balak did as Balaam directed, and they offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here by your burnt offering while I am gone. Maybe the Lord will meet with me. I will tell you whatever he reveals to me." So he went to a barren hill. God met with him, and Balaam said to him, "I have arranged 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar." Then the Lord put a message in Balaam's mouth and said, "Return to Balak and say what I tell you." So he returned to Balak, who was standing there by his burnt offering with all the officials of Moab. Balaam proclaimed his poem. "Balak brought me from Aram, the king of Moab, from the eastern mountains. Come, put a curse on Jacob for me. Come, denounce all of Israel." How can I curse someone God has not cursed? How can I denounce someone the Lord has not denounced? I see them from the top of rocky cliffs, and I watch them from the hills. There is a people living alone. It does not consider itself among the nations. Who has counted the dust of Jacob, or numbered even 1/4 of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright. Let the end of my life be like theirs. "What have you done to me, Balak?" asked Balaam. "I brought you here to curse my enemies, but look, you have only blessed them." He answered, "Shouldn't I say exactly what the Lord puts in my mouth?" We're going to stop there. That's quite a bit. That was a talking donkey. I love this story. There are 3 ways that we look at these stories, these verses and chapters when we read them. What does it say? We have to have reading comprehension. And let me tell you, if you're not reading the words on this page, you have no idea what it says. You may know what somebody else told you it says, but unless you read it for yourself, you don't know what it says. Secondly, What was it saying to the people of the time? What was the culture? What was going on? We have to understand everything in context. And last, what, if anything, is this saying to us today? So what did we just read? Well, we read that the Israelites that had come out of Egypt, they had come out of captivity from Egypt, were going along and they were kind of taking over different places to live. And Balak of Moab sees all of these people and he's thinking, my goodness, there's so many of them. They're going to devour us. They're stronger than us. They're more powerful than us. Let's call for the prophet Balaam. Balaam was a prophet for profit. Balak said, let's give him some money and he'll come and he'll curse these people. And if he does that, we have a better chance of withstanding them. So he sends some messengers to Balaam and he says, well, spend the night. Let me ask God what he wants me to do. And God says, don't you curse these people. I've blessed these people. Don't you be cursing them. So the next morning he tells these messengers, he says, sorry, I can't go with you. Go back to Balak and tell him I can't come. So they go back, and this time Balak gets more powerful officials with even more reward. And he sends it with them back to Balaam and says, come on, you gotta come here and curse these people, please. And so Balaam says, well, go ahead and spend the night and let me inquire of the Lord again. And God says, fine, go ahead and go. But you're only going to do what I tell you to do. Okay. So Balaam gets up the next morning. They saddle the donkeys. He's agreed to go back to Balak. And he's going to go ahead and planning to curse the people. So as he's going, the angel of the Lord stands in his way. The way of the donkey. They're traveling along, and all of a sudden, there's an angel standing in the path. Big angel, I imagine, with a sword. And the donkey sees this angel of the Lord. And to avoid the angel of the Lord and the sword, she turns off and she goes into a field. And then the angel of the Lord sort of corrals her in between these two walls in the field, the vineyard, it says. And she can't get away from the angel of the Lord, so she ends up pressing up against these walls, and it hurts Balaam's foot. So he's beating this donkey. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, donkey, but he starts beating the donkey, trying to get the donkey to go back on the path so they can head off to Moab. Then the angel of the Lord stands in front of the donkey again, and this time she crouches down and won't get up. And Balaam's really mad now. Takes the stick and beating the donkey. He's lost his temper. And God opened the mouth of the donkey, it says. And the donkey says, what have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times? Now, I don't know about you, but if my animal talked to me, I would think, uh-oh. I would think there was something wrong with me and I might check myself into the loony bin. I'd be calling some mental health official, telling them I'm hearing voices coming out of my animal's mouth. But that's not what happened. Instead, Balaam responds to the donkey and says, you're embarrassing me. If I had a sword, I'd kill you. And the donkey says, have I ever done this to you before? Balaam's like, no. So they're having this entire conversation, and then finally, God opens Balaam's eyes so that Balaam can see the angel that's standing there. Balaam kneels down, and the angel says, look, I'm here to stop you from going and doing something against God's will. If it wasn't for this donkey, I would have killed you to keep you from cursing those people. They go on, and this incident has Balaam realizing, I better not get there and curse God's people. I better not do that. I'm only going to do what God tells me to do. So he goes, and Balak's like, what took you so long? I mean, did you think I wasn't going to reward you? I really need you to come curse these people. I'm glad you're here. And he says, I'm here, but I am only going to do what God tells me to do. I can only say what God tells me to say. Balaam builds some altars to the Lord, and they sacrifice different animals, and he calls upon the Lord, and he's like, what do you want me to say? And God says, you're only going to say what I tell you to say. And he goes back, he speaks to the Lord, and then he's in front of Balak, and he opens his mouth. And it says, this is the poem that he proclaimed. The poem that he proclaimed were blessings on these people that that Balak wanted curses to be brought upon, but instead they were blessings. And Balak is upset, and he says, I brought you here to curse these people. What have you done? You've blessed them. And Balaam says, shouldn't I just do what the Lord tells me to do? I can only say what the Lord tells me to say. And that's what he told me to say. If I were you, I would continue reading the rest of chapter 23. There's not much left. We're not going to read it today. I want you to read it. And in the comments, I want you to tell me what your thoughts are on the rest of what Balaam says to Balak. And that's chapter 23 in Numbers. So if you open your Bible to the book of Numbers and you go to chapter 23, you can read the rest of it. It's very interesting what he has to say to Balak. Well, what is this saying to us today? There are so many rich messages that we can get out of just this one story. One of the things that I really gravitate towards in this story is this understanding that things don't work out well for us if we oppose God. Balaam surrendered. I mean, the talking donkey, that's really cool. That's really cool. And it would be, I don't know, pretty cool if some animal spoke to me. I've got these squirrels in my yard that I'm not real happy with at the moment. But if God opened their mouth and they started talking to me, that would be just awe-inspiring, right? That would just knock my socks off. But the true message here isn't that the donkey spoke and that Balaam had a conversation with it. The true message here is that Balaam ended up obeying God. He understood the awesomeness and the power of God and the severity of not obeying God. I ask myself sometimes, and I think this is a question many people should ask themselves. When God tells me to do something, do I do it the way he told me to do it? Or do I say to him, well, are you sure about that? Because, there's some money involved if I do it this way, and I really want that money. And Balaam had gotten an answer from God the first time. He was told, nah, I've blessed these people. Yet he still let these messengers come into his house a second time. He's like, well, let me ask God again just to make sure. Do we ever do that? We're like, well, God, I know you're telling me not to do this thing, but I really want to do it because look at all these wonderful rewards I'm going to get. I could get rich out of this. Let me tell you right now, if you are doing things for the Lord, for profit, you're sinning. Period. End of story. God will reward us himself for our obedience. So that is the story, the whole story of Balaam and his talking donkey. Now you know why the donkey talked to him. Now you know what the donkey said. And now you know what Balaam's response to all of that was. So read the rest of chapter 23, and in the comments, let me know what your take on that is, what your opinion of that is. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day. I look forward to us being together the next time. God bless you.